Virginia. I am your news anchor, Vashi Panaji, and this is your Channel 23 News. We are live here from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., reporting on breaking news at 11. A world war has begun in Europe, and it has shocked the globe. Many are confused, cities are in chaos, and people all around the world are unsure of how to respond to this catastrophe. Well, stay tuned to learn the who, what, when, where, and why, right here on Channel 23. Let us pass the baton to Chloe, who's reporting live from Russia on the why of the war.
Action! Thank you, Vashi. This is Chloe Jad reporting live from Moscow, Russia. Europe has split into two families of countries, the Allied powers and the Central powers, and they have broken out into a war. The Allied powers consist of Russia, France, Great Britain, Serbia, Italy, and Belgium. Other countries a part of the Allies include Japan, Brazil, Greece, Montenegro, and Romania. The Central powers are made up of Germany, Austria-Hungary, Bulgaria, and the Ottoman Empire. Now, we are told the direct event that instigated this world war was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, who was heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire. He was shot and killed by a Serbian nationalist on June 28, 1914 in Sarajevo. The Austrian government believes this assassination was planned by the Serbian government and saw this as a chance to regain Serbia. But there are other underlying reasons for the start of this world war. Europe and its countries are riddled with secret alliances, imperialism, and nationalistic pride. Whew. In the years leading up to the war, there was great tension between the major countries of Europe. Britain and Germany were racing to expand their naval arms, and Russia and Germany were wanting to build worldwide empires like that of France and Great Britain. Not to mention the peace treaty of 1881 between Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy to protect one another if they were to be attacked by France. However, Italy then went behind their backs and made a secret alliance with France, saying that they indeed wouldn't aid Germany. All this caused relations to dwindle away to nothing and for distrust to build walls between them. This war officially began August 4th of this year. On February 6th, just a month since Europe split, the Battle of the Marne began to the north and east of Paris, with France facing Germany and Britain. This is how things are looking so far in the war, and we can only hope it does not last for too long. For now, President Wilson is choosing to keep the U.S. out of this war, as it is seen to be a strictly European affair. Back to Vashi in the studio.
Thanks for joining us, Chloe. Now let's head over to New York City for a report on the U.S. involvement of the war.
This is Kevin Tran reporting live from New York City. World War I is starting, and the U.S. is getting involved. There are many reasons that the U.S. has decided to enter the war, some of which are Germany's choice to continue the policy of unrestricted submarine warfare and the sinking of the Housatonic, which was caused by the Germans. This led to Woodrow Wilson getting very angry, causing Wilson to break diplomatic relations with Germany. After the British intercepted a missive sent by the Germans offering Mexico to support Germany in the war, promising land that Mexico had lost to the U.S., this missive finally tipped off Wilson and he went to war with Germany. On April 4th, the U.S. Senate voted in favor of war by 82 votes to 6. 2 days later, the House of Representatives delivered their own yes votes by 373 to 50, formally announcing the entrance of the United States into the First World War. The American home front is changing more and more as the war goes on. The term home front, meaning the civilian population, was directly and critically involved in the war. Drafting of the military service forced many men to fight in the war. The many jobs that were lost were replaced by women. Women worked in the factories. The government spent more on propaganda and not enough on mobilization of manpower.
Thanks, Kevin. Now let's see how Justin is doing live from the battlefield in Belgium.
Thanks, Vashi. This is Justin Dang broadcasting from the Battle of Passchendaele in Belgium. The soldiers are having a hard time here. They are terrified, but they accept that they have to fight whenever they are needed, rain or shine. Every day, the soldiers must be ready to defend or go over the top and attack. When on the battlefield, the soldiers always fear an attack from artillery shells as well as gunfire.
Oh,
God.
okay.
Oh God! Thanks, man.
No problem, dude.
The shells are designed to explode within a few meters of the ground. The explosion could blow a soldier to bits, and red-hot pieces of metal or shrapnel can easily maim a person. The trenches are the only thing providing protection for the soldiers from the gunfire. These trenches were dug with the help of the Chinese Labor Corps. 140,000 Chinese laborers who helped the military with manual labor and chores. They started as foxholes and were connected by shallow crawl holes. Soon they were expanded into more permanent fortifications. These trenches are riddled with disease, and soldiers live in constant fear of attack. These trenches are riddled with disease, and soldiers live in constant fear of attack. Along with that, they have to deal with the millions of rats that live in the trenches. This is a letter written by William Albert Hastings to his friend explaining the hardships of fighting in the trenches. New technology and weapons are used in warfare for air, water, and land. For example, new flying machines called airplanes are used by both sides to scout and attack enemies. From the planes, soldiers would shoot the enemy troops with rifles, pistols, or machine guns. Planes, like the one in this picture, were also used for bombing enemy cities. Tanks used by America and Britain are a terror to the Germans on the battlefields. Mounted with machine guns and light cannons, these tanks can crush barbed wire and cross trenches. Here's a picture of a Mark I model used by the British. The Germans and their allies had weapons as well. The Germans first used chemical warfare during 1915 when they attacked Flanders, Belgium with poison gas. At first, the gas was released from cylinders and carried by wind into enemy ranks. Now they are loaded into artillery shells and shot into the enemy trenches. Warships have also been improved. They are now faster and more powerful and use newly created radios to communicate. Submarines are used to attack ships far from port, and underwater mines called depth charges are used to sink German U-boats. Many battles in the war are like this one. The Battle of Somme, for example, was one of the largest and bloodiest battles in the war. It was fought by the Somme River in France. The battle lasted from July 1st, 1916 to November 18th. The first weekend, the Germans were bombarded with 1,738,000 artillery shells used to destroy German trenches and barbed wire. By the end of the battle, the British had suffered 420,000 casualties, the French had suffered 200,000, and the Germans suffered 465,000.
We here in the nation's capital are doing our best to support Mr. President. Thank you for your report, Justin. Next, Taj, live in France, reporting on the conclusion of this grueling 4-year war. Taj? Good evening, Taj. I hear you've been stationed in France. So, would you inform our public and let us know what role did the U.S. play in ending the war?
Well, Vashi, the United States played a big role in World War I. The U.S. aided Britain by sending supplies, but did not mobilize until late in the war. Once Russia collapsed because of the revolution, the U.S. then intervened, ultimately ending the war.
So, what exactly is the significance of the Treaty of Versailles?
The Treaty of Versailles was the most important of the peace treaties that helped end World War I. The Treaty of Versailles brought the U.S. to join Germany and made them an ally to help end the war. The League of Nations is an intergovernmental organization made on January 10, 1920, as a result of the Paris Peace Conference that ended the First World War.
Great. Do you agree or do you disagree with the League of Nations?
Well, Vashi, I would have to say I agree with the League of Nations, because then if people were smart enough, we could have kept all those countries together for a lot longer, and that would have been a great asset for the USA.
Thanks for joining us, Taj. The most bloody, dangerous, and destructive wars have come to an end. The Allied powers put up a tremendous fight and were able to overcome Austria-Hungary, Germany, and the remaining Central Powers, and all those who helped. The overall casualty count for military and civilian from both sides are over 35 million, 16.5 million deaths, and 20 million casualties. Russia and Germany have the highest casualty counts overall. The war ended with Russia not so gracefully exiting and the Battle of Aragon Forest dominating. As one of the closing battles of the war, it lasted from September 26 to November 11, 1918. The battle will forever be remembered as the largest operation and victory of the American Expeditionary Force in World War I. Despite all the loss, we have a nation that has held together and been strong. We have stood united, and let us never forget our losses, the brave men who fought and the strong women who took their place. Here is an original map of the new Europe. This is what we fought for. These brave men stood their ground using brilliant military tactics in order to succeed. We spawned positivity in a time of despair. Let us remember this war forever. Hope you all enjoyed that magnificent and informative report. Thanks for watching, Virginia. I'm Vashi Panaji, and this is your Channel 23 News.